Hi everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and we'll be concluding Transformers Prime Week with a look at the Wave 1 Cyberverse Legion figures, otherwise known as the old Legend class figures, with the caveat that there will be one figure from Wave 2, and we'll get to explain that more when we get to them. But starting us off will be the medic of the team, Ratchet. This is packaging he comes in. File card on the side that is removable if you want to do that sort of thing, if you want to keep it. Cross sell with the other principal Prime cast members. And photoshopped image of Ratchet on the back with a image of the Wave 1 figures in a battle, telling you to watch them on the hub, yada 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 yada. One thing you'll notice from these packagings is that the instructions have been removed from the back and are now included inside on a separate piece of paper. That's because these figures tend to be a little bit more complicated than the original Legends class figures. So let's go ahead and take a look at them right now. Okay, as you can see, Ratchet is a ambulance. He does roll, as you just saw, and looks very much like his animated version. He comes with a clear rubber Energon sword. It's been my experience that the Energon swords tend to be of a sterner plastic than the blasters and what have you. We'll get more into this in robot mode, but he does have a port on the top and on either side that it can peg into. Transformation is relatively simple for a Legion class figure. First, you come in and you split the front, which will form the arms. Then we come around this way and unfold the legs while at the same time angling out the feet. As you can see, Ratchet in robot mode bears a strong resemblance to his animated model. Obviously, there are some differences due to the simplified transformation. I do like the feet and legs on this particular figure and how it came out looking. He can hold the sword in his hand either as a traditional sword, such as this, or, as I like to have him hold it, using the secondary peg, underhanded, like it's a scalpel, or overhanded, like his scalpel. I do recommend Ratchet. He can be found in stores now, although you may have a harder time finding him since he was a Wave 1 figure. If you want to come in real quick, we can show off some of his paint detail. White and red with black for the plastic and on the ankles. Silver face. Let's see if we can take a better look at that face. Alright, you can see just a hint of blue in the eyes. As well as get a little bit more of the tech detail on the rest of his body. Well, that's about all I can say for Ratchet. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next figure. Okay, next up, we're going to take a look at the lone Decepticon in the Legion line. and it's the Viacon. This is the packaging for the Decepticons. Notice the cross-sell with the Decepticon Legion figures. Photoshopped image of the Viacon on the back with the same Legion battle that's appeared on the other Cyberverse figures, as well as sticker for the hub. Interesting to note that there is a variant of the Viacon somewhere out there. We'll get into that more once we take a look at the figure, which we're going to do right now. Before we begin our look at the Viacon, I should mention that if you're familiar with some of my other Transformer reviews, I usually start the review of the figure in the mode that the figure comes packaged in. I just so happened that I had all the Legion figures in vehicle mode, and I thought we'd start there. Now, if you remember, I had just mentioned that there was a variant involved with this figure, and that variant has to do with his weapon, which we're going to come in and take a look at right now. This is the weapon that's the standard Viacon weapon. The variant has to do with this. There's a different cut to the blade that changes the angle ever so slightly, and the front blaster is also changed. It's very slight and very hard to notice in package, but it is out there. I don't know if this was a running change or just a variant. But other than that, the purple coloring, the combining ports, those are all there. Let's get back to the figure. Okay. Like all Legion figures, the Viacon transforms very easily. He also has a rather unique vehicle mode that bears a strong resemblance to the Batmobile. Silver highlights on the windshield and would be the back window, as well as on the sides. Interesting little purple flares right there. Really nice little touches. To transform, you just come in, pull the arms out to the side. They form the doors and roof. Swing them up. Separate the legs. Pull was the front hood all the way back to swing forward the robot head, which will then peg into the tab. The Viacon does have a somewhat lurch-like appearance. Let's come in and take a look at his head. As you can see, there's a bit more paint detail on his face. Red visor, silver chest, purple Decepticon logo. Basic plastic color for the joints is gray, as well as his wheels. If you already have this figure, you probably have 20 of them. Let's go back and give my final thoughts. As you can see, the Viacon can hold his weapon like a traditional blaster, or up with a sword. Like all of the Legion class and Commander class figures, he does have a way to join weapons together. We'll get into that a little later on. If you notice that I'm holding him, he is very difficult to stand due to the amount of kibble on his back and the size of his arms. It's not impossible, but it is difficult. I would recommend picking up a Viacon. You don't need to troop build them. At least I don't. Let's go on and take a look at the next figure. Moving forward, we're going to take a look at some of the weaker figures in this Wave 1 Legion Class 9. Starting us off is the ever-popular RC. Again, on the front of the packaging, name, logo, same as Ratchet. Photoshopped image on the back, and, battle, watch the hub. Not a lot to these packages and That's why it's the Legion class line. Let's go on and take a look at the figure. Okay, as you can see, RC is a blue motorcycle, just like in her animated form. She comes with a soft, translucent, flip there, um, double barrel blaster that looks nothing like she uses in the show, but, you know, it is a weapon. Her vehicle is predominantly blue with some black highlights, um, silver on the what would be the windscreen, silver on the front of the vehicle, and black tires. She does roll, but she is very hard to stand in this mode. Let's move on to transformation. Transformation, like all other Legion class figures, is relatively simple. Come in, flare open the sides, bring them forward like that, bring the rear tire down, which would be her legs. The legs will split open. They're actually really don't peg together that well. The front tire, you're going to fold down and into what would be her right leg. The rear tire folds backwards up into what will be her left leg. Bring them forward. As you can see, her head's right there. Come in behind the seat. Her arms are pegged together, so you just want to come in and pull them apart. Swing them up. Bring the figure back around. Swing back the front of the bike to form her backpack with rather reasonably sized wings, and then fold down the arms, swing them into position. RC can hold the double-barreled blaster nicely, but you can't take it all the way down into the arm because it won't sit straight. One of my main complaints about the figure is that her backpack does not sit flush, and oftentimes when you're handling it, as you may have seen during the transformation, it does have a tendency to pop up and fall off, but it can be very easily popped back into place. The figure really can't stand, and her hands are molded into what was the seat of the motorcycle. Let's come in and take a look at her head. As you can see, RC has some great detailing in her eyes, light blue, silver face, blue head, with a red Autobot logo on her chest. Most of the detailing is carried over from vehicle mode, and that's about it. Let's get my final thoughts on the figure. Like I said, RC is one of the weakest figures in the Legion class line. Your money would be better served picking up either the Deluxe, Prime, Robots in Disguise RC, or the First Edition RC, although neither one fully captures her animated model. Let's go on and take a look at the next figure in our collection. We're now going to take a look at what I consider to be the worst Legion class figure in the line. And unfortunately, he's probably the easiest one you'll be able to find. And that is, of course, Bumblebee. Here's the packaging. Here's the back. Looks good, but he's not. Let's get to the figure. Oh, look. It's Bumblebee. Yeah. He's yellow. Comes with the same double-barreled blaster that RC did, which looks a lot like his blaster, and has a lot of his prime detailing. I am not impressed with this figure, although the car mode does look nice. Black stripes down the side, with a little hint of silver on top, break up the monotonous yellow. To transform Bumblebee, first we're going to come in and bring his arms out while bringing his hood down. The front wheels do aid in keeping the chest down. You then want to come in and flip down what will be his feet, revealing very nice leg detail, but no knees. Separate the legs, swing the arms down, and there we go. I really can't recommend Bumblebee. The gun pegs into his arms like it does in the show. His hands are molded into the door. You might notice that I've been skipping on mentioning articulation. That's because most of the figures have the same articulation. Arms can move, legs and knees can bend, except for Bumblebee. His arms move fine, his legs move fine, but he has absolutely no knee articulation. In good conscience, I can't recommend this figure. If you have to get a Bumblebee, wait until maybe the one with the mech suit comes out, because then at least you'll get a mech suit to play with. Or wait till he shows up in some store exclusive Legion combo pack, because you know they always do. If you have to buy a Bumblebee, try to get him on sale. Let's move on and take a look at what I consider to be the best figure in the Legion line. After Bumblebee, we're now going to take a look at a figure who frankly deserves his own video review. He's that good. Legends class, Legion class figures have a history of limited articulation and simple transformations. This next figure breaks both those molds. I am talking about Legion class Cliff Jumper. Here's his packaging. Same as all the other Autobots. Different figure entirely. Let's take a look at the figure, because it really is that good. And there he is. Let's take a moment and drink it all in. By this point, you should have heard all the stories, all the reports about how great Cliff Jumper is. Truly, the toy embodiment of his voice actor, The Rock. Gonna remove the sword, same as the one that came with Ratchet. We'll get back to that in a minute. Just take a look at silver on the roof, going down into the windshield, side windows, and even the rear vents. If this wasn't a Transformer, this would still be a cool looking car. He even has the bull horns on the front end. Just holding it is so wonderful. And what's nice is, I don't know if it's coming up on the video, but this red is a beautiful pearlescent red, very shiny. Oh, let's get the transformation. Starting us off, we're going to come into the side here and carefully separate the rear end, which will free up what was the doors. You'll then swing the legs down, like so. One thing I want to mention is that the instructions tell you to peg the legs together before folding it up when going back into car mode. I recommend folding them up individually and then pegging them together once they're folded up. From here, you're going to come into the door, fold it in towards the inside of the leg, and then rotate it down. This will form the feet, the ball-jointed feet. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Turning the car around, you'll split the front end, fold it slightly out to the side so you can fold up the roof, forming the robot's torso. Finish by folding up the front end to form the robot's shoulders, and then coming into the side, folding the arm down, and rotating it forward. On the other side, down and rotate it forward. Here's Cliff Jumper in robot mode. Let's come in for a closer look. Blue eyes, silver face, the bull horns. This is Cliff Jumper. This is a fantastic figure. Look at all that detail. Silver. It's all carried over from the vehicle mode. What really sells this figure is the articulation. Ball joint in the elbows, ball joint in the shoulders, ball joint in the hip, swivel knee, and took his leg off, but hey, it pops back on, and the aforementioned swivel ankles. This figure is incredible. Let's zoom back out, and I can show you a neat trick with his mech, with his little Legion class weapon. Okay, as I mentioned, Cliff Jumper comes with a little mech tech sword that he can hold in a plethora of different ways. But, as I mentioned with the Viacon, there are ports on the various mech tech weapons to combine them. Take Bumblebee's weapon, for example. It has a hole right on the top. You can plug the sword in, and then you have basically a laser cannon with a bayonet. And Cliff Jumper can then in turn hold this. You might be asking yourself, why don't I give it to Bumblebee? Because Bumblebee sucks. And he holds it quite well. Like so. I highly recommend buying Cliff Jumper. There is a repaint coming out with the 4th wave of Legion figures. And I think his name's going to be Tailgate. Buy Cliff Jumper, buy Tailgate. Buy as many of these as you can. The various different versions. Don't buy the same one, that's just silly. But I cannot recommend Cliff Jumper enough. Now, let's take a look at a bonus figure, the one new mold from the Wave 2 Legion class line. Okay, as I mentioned, this review was going to have a bonus appearance by a figure from Wave 2 of the Legion class. The reason why this one figure is included is because he was the only original mold. Included in this wave was a black repaint of Dark of the Moon Soundwave as Soundwave with a different Legion class weapon, and a Dark of the Moon Prime version called Mirage, who was a repaint of the Revenge of the Fallen Legends class figure Sideways. They both came with, little Legion class weapons, but really no point to picking him up. This guy, on the other hand, is a new mold, as I mentioned. And for many of us, this will be the only way to get Evac, since his deluxe figure, as of right now, is a Universal Studios store exclusive. Same packaging as all the other Cyberverse figures. No mention of his Universal Studios connection. Picture on the back. Tech spec on the side with a nice close-up of his studio's head. I don't even want to say movie because he wasn't even the movie. Enough of that. Let's get to the figure. Evac is a futuristic transport car. In the Universal Studios ride, this is what you actually will ride in. Only this black canopy part is open. He comes with the same blaster that Bumblebee and RC come with, so we can put that off to the side. Silver detailing goes through the back on giant thruster there. Yellow paint details on the side. It really is a nice little fun figure. To transform, we have to come in, pop open the doors here on the side that form the front of the car. They do peg into multiple locations um, in the doorway here. And then come in the back and then fold the legs down. Turn them around, fold the head down, the front of the car down to reveal the head, and then come in and quite easily split the legs. You'll notice the feet are slightly angled to give him a wide-legged stance. Let's come in and take a look at the head detail. Okay, has the nice blue eyes, as well as a red Autobot logo on his chest. Has a gray pipe detailing, which was the front of the vehicle of the car. So if you look underneath there, it has some nice cybernetic tech details that were on the bottom of the car, and those are done up in silver. The inside of his arms feature little red highlights. You just go down the rest of the body, same as what we saw in the vehicle mode. Let's give you my final thoughts on this figure. As you can see, Evac can easily hold his gun in his hand. He can, this is the traditional position, but much like RC's weapon, you can't peg it squarely down because then it'll face off on an angle. He does have ball-jointed shoulders, but as you can see, moving his arms moves the chest because that doesn't peg into place. It does have a knee joint and loose hip joints that have a tendency to pop off. But all in all, it is a fun little figure. And like I said, this will be the only way for us to get Evac. If you see him in stores, pick him up. You will enjoy this figure. Out of all the Cyberverse Legion figures, I can recommend Cliffjumper first, Ratchet second, Evac third, and the Viacon fourth. Bumblebee and RC I can only recommend if you really are fans of the figures. So, for all of the Legion class figures, including Evac, this is your old pal Chuck, and we'll see you next time.